2006 was all about starting. We were starting our company, we were starting our engine, we were starting our art style. At this time, we thought grayscale was pretty darn cool. Animations, yes. Sound effects, yes. To jumpstart our technology, we licensed Project Offset. They were a small team of developers in Southern California who needed funding. We had a partner with funding. It was a nice partnership. We licensed their engine and got things going. Over time, we've replaced their engine, and now it's all ours. This was a particularly exciting moment. This was March 15th, 2006, because for the first time we had introduced physics on projectiles. Are you ready for this? That's right. Pink boxes that bounce around the world. Oh yeah. Now we move on to June 15th, 2006. You'll notice quite a bit of an advancement in our art style. We have a loading screen. This was a map we called Demon's Peak. And this was all built in 3D Studio Max. For those of you familiar, 3D Studio Max is an art tool. It was all modeled out by our artist. We have the ion drill, which I still love so very much. And for the first time in June, we had our first set of resources. So you can see that even in the early days, Firefall was a resource collection game. This was a big part of the game for us. Now we move on to September 15th, 2006. We've advanced quite a bit. We're logging in here to New Eden. Some of you might recognize that name. That's the remnant that you log into now in beta, but it looks quite a bit different. We've introduced parallax mapping in our technology, which I love so very much. This was a huge step. Parallax mapping is a real efficient way of showing a lot of detail. So in the cracks, you see the textures kind of push and pull that look like there's a lot of resolution in the geometry, but really it's a flat polygon. But we advanced our technology quite a bit here. You'll see we've got this beautiful art style with a biker's helmet. We really liked it in concept, but once we got it in game, we felt like it looked a little bit like a turtle. His backpack and his helmet really didn't fit for us, so you'll see that we evolved away from that shortly following. For the first time, we had abilities. So this is 2006. Firefall was an action-oriented, ability-driven game, even in 2006. This was adrenaline, which gave you increased run speed and jump height. Ooh, what's that on the left? Interesting. I don't know what this guy is. Now you see still yet another evolution of our art style. We've gone a little bit more photorealistic. This is the first milestone when we've been able to actually build the world in our engine. And this is our own terrain engine. It's not built in Max. This map was a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer map zone. We have the easy button from Staples. We're still fighting them on the patent for that. And this was actually a very early design test of base capturing. PvP, Army versus Army base capturing, and we had lots and lots of fun, even in this early stage of the art and the UI down here, of fighting each other's outposts, taking over their pumps that was giving them increased resource collection, taking over the barracks, which served as spawn points for them, and ultimately their harvester. Okay, big jump here. This is now 2009, and this is a very, very important time for us. In 2009, we severed our relationship with Webzen, who was our publisher. That's a long story for another time. And we were in desperate need of additional funding. And so much of 2009 was spent on a roadshow going around to all the publishers in the industry. We went to the EAs, the Sonys, the Microsofts, the Square Enixes of the world. We went pretty much to everyone. But it was also a time when the economy was taking a tank, and this was a big risk. Investing the kind of money that we needed to continue development on Firefall was a big discussion for a company. But this was a demo that we put together, and we've reduced the size just for sake of today, but this really showcased the game. It was our vertical slice, which really presented the end-to-end experience that we had planned for Firefall. Missions, resource collection, thumping, PvP. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, this demo was completely stuck together with duct tape and bubble gum. Every time I gave the demo to a publisher, I had a huge sigh of relief when we made it through the whole demo without a bug or a crash. We got really used to turning the camera away from issues with the bugs. You know, if like these creatures up here sometimes would have stretched verts, you know, and so I was real good at turning away and looking at the beautiful mountain away from the shot. But it still proved out, even internally to us, what Firefall was all about. You see we have abilities down here. This is the assault battle frame. His assault rifle is actually made out of melding wood, which was really, really tough wood, and we tried it for a while. It didn't really stick, so we replaced wood with high-tech metals and so forth. but we've got abilities. We're thumping. This is 2009. And this really was a great step for us in the game. You'll see we had shields back then. We really loved having shields, so you take damage, and if you got to safety, the shields would recharge. We ended up having to remove that for various reasons. We thought it made more sense that way. Actually, during this time, each battle frame had their unique movement skill. So only the assault had jump jets. And that was pretty fun at the time. We had the engineer had gliders, which now everyone has access to in the open world. A couple of other classes had movement abilities we haven't showcased yet. But ultimately, we found that it made it really hard to stick together as a squad if one person's jump jetting and one person's gliding and one person's doing X, Y, Z. So we gave everyone jetpacks, and I think that was really the right call. So this is a PvP map in 2009. I don't know what we're looking there. Who are we looking at there? I don't know. The other team, whatever they're doing. Different classes, different abilities, different weapons, stuff that you guys are all very familiar with. This is a capture point map. This was called Asala Ridge. And here we're calling down an army call down strike. That's right, armies have call downs they can share and use. But in what's in beta right now, we've decided to really focus on the core experience. Remember back to what I was saying about the weapon and the wall test? Build out the core experience and then we add to it. We add armies, we add army features and army functionality. This is in 2010. And this is 2010 is probably one of the most memorable years of my life. At the beginning of 2010, we were about to shut down the company. In fact, we were in the process of shutting it down. When in the 11th hour, pretty much at 11:59 p.m., the Nine, our partner in China, came in and offered us funding to help us keep alive. And we were able to maintain some of the team to keep development on Firefall. And so here we were just 9 months later. This is June, July 2010. We were preparing to announce Firefall to the world at PAX Prime 2010. Something that for a long time we thought was never going to happen. And I have to say it was a real special experience for us. But you see, this was a video that we did for Tiki Time. Every week we would take a video of the demo script for PAX. Have you guys seen the PAX announcement? No? Okay. Well, this was our announcement video. And in the initial pass, we had the Titan, this big badass spider in the middle of the town, and we killed it, but we were like, that's not very climactic. There's no mystery. It kind of ends. So ultimately, we decided for the actual announcement that we wouldn't show the Titan dying. We would just show the Titan up in the hill, and so these are here's some clips from the actual announcement that we made at PAX Prime 2010 in Seattle, Washington. This was a huge step for us, and really a very emotional time for the team. Right, Matt? I mean, it was a very special time for us. In fact, I remember talking with some of the team saying that if all of this ended even then, it still felt like we'd succeeded in some big way, because we announced the game we'd worked on for 4 or 5 years that we thought at one point we wouldn't be able to announce. Now, this was all meant to be a video that we would showcase at PAX. We would give demo interviews with journalists. We would show live, we would show demos to players, but we would play a video because we all know, you guys should all know, that doing a live demo is always risky, especially this early in development where we're still ironing out details of the engine and making sure everything works well. I think it was about, what, Matt, a week, 2 weeks? 2 weeks before PAX, so it was mid-August. We were sitting around playing through the demo, and someone threw out the idea of doing it live. We were like, why not? Let's do it live. Let's do it live. Let's live on the edge, take a little bit of risk, and do it live, because we felt like that would really be a much more honest and transparent way of showing the game if everyone knew it was actually running on a computer at the show. And so now we have kind of a saying internally, we use that saying pretty often when we're talking about doing something risky. We always talk about doing it live. And here was the climax of our announcement, demo, and then we continue on. This was footage from DigiChina, I think, after PAX. A gratuitous combat scene with lots of effects. Yeah. So you guys are all pretty familiar with this area now, right? This is Copacabana in Coral Forest. We're talking 2011, 2012. We start to really see the world come together. The experiences in the world are starting to solidify. We've built out Sunken Harbor, our first team deathmatch map type and map. This is Orbital Comm Tower, a capture, an attack and defend map type, and our first map of that for that game type. The world really starts to come together. The game really starts to feel a little bit more polished. This is Sunken Harbor here. PAX Prime 2011 is just around the corner. How do we showcase even more than the previous year? And we decided it was time that we let people play the open world. This was, of course, a very scary thing to us. It hadn't been done before. People hadn't played it. We had very positive response on PvP from PAX East previously. And so now we wanted to give players the opportunity to play the game. So we conjured up this idea of actually allowing players to be able to log in with their email address at the show floor, and we would actually create and save their character so that they could come back and play again and again at the trade show and actually level up their character and advance their equipment. And this is part of the experience. Players would log in, they would have a couple missions, they would be able to explore the world, and then you'd be notified of a dynamic world event, which I'll tell you now, we kind of faked for sake of the trade show. It happened to happen every time players were playing. But it was the Chosen. They would actually fly in with this badass drop ship, and they would start to attack Copacabana. Have you guys ever seen this? Have you ever seen the attack? And it was a really intense gaming experience that was a lot of fun. I think we all felt like a major turning point happened for Firefall internally when we had that Chosen attack. It really felt very real to us. And here we are, 2013, some of our most recent gameplay footage. You guys are all very familiar with this. We've come a long way, I think. The game has evolved. We've created a lot of additional functionality and content. But in many ways, I like to think that we're just getting started. We're just warming up. The party's just about to begin. There you have it. A little bit of history behind Firefall.